bitches.
Make the ground shake.
Hello, motherfucker.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hi peoples! Good evening everyone. It is a worm as a fuck. Alright, who we got? Good afternoon, Joggin. Good evening, Hooded. Good afternoon, Daddy. Good evening, Dan. Hello, hello. It's me, a great potato. Dan, are you wearing your glasses? Did the white and the black blur together? Chat only for now? Yeah. So, maybe I should change the... because I have load shedding right now, so... You are wearing your glasses, are you sure? No, I'm joking. I make a joke. Let me just actually... Let me just... Chatting for a smidge. Just because I do have load shedding right now. We can make big title. For now. Can someone test the head pats? Please. Give the head pats. Or don't, that's also fine. Why he didn't work? But thank you, Dan. It took ages to find. That's a valid excuse. I'll pardon you this time. But I expect you to remember it by heart for next time. It's hot as fuck today. Goddamn. That's so uncomfortable. This thing is being a butthole. Why you being a butthole? Oh. Um. Why you not do the thing? Huh? So I thought I fixed the head pad thing, but it's not working now, and I don't know why. Because it wouldn't like connect to VTube Studio. But he's connected. He's supposed to be there. I don't know why. I don't know why he swallowed a fly. It's fine. We do manual head pads because it's not working. It's like it's connected. I don't know why it's being a butthole. I did it earlier today, but obviously I can't like properly test it off stream. Now it's like, I pretend I do not see it. It broke both of the head pad things I made. What the frick? I honestly have no idea. It was working fine. Oh well. Too bad, so sad. Okay guys, so today the plan is the Audacity on a Wednesday even. The sheer Audacity. The plan for today is we're playing Genshin. We're playing lots of Genshin today. We are playing Genshin for the entire stream. Nothing unusual, nothing new. But there is the new patch, so we're probably going to be playing story. I'm not pulling for any of the characters. Can't remember who's available now, but in any case, I'm not pulling for any of them. So we're gonna do the story. We're gonna probably do test runs. I might even look at doing Abyss. Just because it reset, obviously. And maybe this will also remind some people to do it this time. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, we're just gonna chill for a little bit until, I don't know, maybe like 7:30 or something. So like in 22 minutes. No? 24 minutes. For some reason, the time on my PC is wrong, but it refuses to sync to the world clock, and I'm just like, well... And for some reason, it's despite me setting the time correctly, it's off by 2 minutes, always, and I'm just like, okay, bro. Cool. Cool story. I'm so glad that we're here. I've just given up with it. It's the same thing. I swear I did something in a past life because I don't know if you know Truecaller, but for whatever reason I can never get it to like send the authentication SMS even when I ask other people to do it for me. So it's not a me error. It's not me being a dumbass. It's just for some reason technology is like, oh, you want to use this thing on your device? No. So like I very much made peace with it. I was just like, this is not gonna work. I'm just not gonna use it. Fucking Truecaller. Oh, I just remembered there's something else I needed to do. Man! I worked for so long to find the best way to do like point redeems and stuff for Twitch. It seemed like Mix It Up was the best one, and the thing that a lot of people recommended and used like for VTubing. The other thing that Yoda recommended was like Tits. Which you have to pay for. Yoda said he got it for free, so I don't really understand exactly. No counters on Wednesdays, and no, it doesn't count when jargon says it. Otherwise, the counter would go up willy-nilly, because anyone could say it. Ban bubble. Not allowed anymore. Be gone. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, boy, Tian. Bubble's only been banned once. I think that timer, or that count is very wrong. I think something about it is very wrong. Call me crazy, but yeah. You said no counters on Wednesday? No. For Audacity. For Audacity. You really ramping up that otherwiseness there, Bubble. You're still here, Tian? No ways. How are you doing? How is everybody doing? Hey! Oh! That's annoying. I was trying to time out fucking Tian. And then because he kept spamming the thing, it's I almost banned Joggin now. Because I was trying to fucking time out Tian. I think I've just banned him now. I don't give a fuck. I'm too tired to give a shit. You can live with the mistake that you've made, Tian. I was trying to time out Tian because he was spamming. Unable? What the fuck? Oh, why did it say unable to add moderator? I'm so confused. Anyway, looks like it worked. Tian, you can stay in the abyss for your crimes against humanity. Simply existing. You can stay banned. Thank you very much. I don't even remember what I was saying now before Tian pushed all the wrong buttons. Jargon wasn't always moderator. It was gross. He doesn't want to be a stinky badgeless pleb. Imagine being stinky. Down here with the povos. The damn. Not got a sword. Povo land. No diamond? Oof. Povo. But, I was talking about the commands earlier. No, what was I talking about? Oh, I've been clenching my jaw again. It's been really fucking annoying. So my whole face hurts now. I hate the pats. Thank you, Mau Mau. How are you? This music is so soft, man. Can you sort your shit out? It's like one of the MiHoYo playlists, but like... It's a very quiet playlist. At least it's not sad playlist. Like Enkanomiya, that one's sad as fuck. Alright. I forgot what I was saying before. Oh! I even asked, I was like... I even asked Tian how he's doing, and he decided to... He chose violence, he chose to be a little shit instead. The weather's hot. We had not too bad load shedding today, so that wasn't, like, tolerable. But for the entirety of today, I was just hella sleepy, so I was, like, sitting at my computer trying to focus on what I was doing. And it was just not happening. But when I tested the patch redeem earlier, it worked fine. And now it suddenly is like, oh yeah, I can't recognize this app. I'm like, what do you mean you can't recognize it? It's right there! You bastard. Do I have to disconnect it and reconnect it? I guess I could try, actually. And see if that changes anything. Oh shit, this thing has a thing for stream avatars as well? Goddamn. Mix It Up's got everything. Fucking Lani is all hell. Let's just see quick. Y'all don't see nothing. Don't look. Don't look. No. It says no. It just refuses. It's like, nah, son. It's fine. It's fine. I'll try and sort it out. It's just like, it's difficult to say if it'll actually work, because when I pressed the test button earlier, it worked. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That was fairly easy to figure out. That was easy to do. And now it's like, no, actually it didn't work. So I'm confused by that. Tunes are banging tonight. That's because it's Genshin music. Genshin music always be banging. Has anyone done any of the new content? No spoilers, but has anyone done it? Has anyone rolled for any of the characters? Which character's actually available? I haven't even looked. Besides Dia. There's someone getting a rerun, right? Watched a bit of the Archon quest and got— You got Dia! Nice. Who was the rerun? I know that we definitely watched the other thing. We watched the thing. Like the patch video, but I honestly don't recall any of it. It's all a very distant memory. Sino! Oh! I see. That's why it wasn't memorable. Okay, that's fair then. So it's the Beacon of the Reed Sea. Oh. Let's see. Works nicely with Deluxe C2, yeah? What are the stats? Oh, it's crit? Whoa! Huh. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Moose heard Sino, came running, then looked at the screen for 3 seconds and went back to the kitchen. It's me, I am Sino now. I'm gonna ignore the fact that I said Sino's forgettable, but you know. They don't need to know. Don't tell them. Have you still got Moose and Alex visiting? The weekend children or the midweek children now as well? Also, I don't know what's been happening. I know Twitter was broken, and I know Twitch raids have been a little bit fucked up. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I saw it today, actually. There's like a weird message that gets posted, and everyone's like, yeah, the Twitch devs broke something again. Other people are saying it's like, one of the, like, emote things. I can't remember which one it was. Honestly, I can't recall. But yeah, anyway, so people were saying it's that, and then other people were saying that the devs broke something because they were fiddling with something. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's just Twitch. Because for the last couple of days, it's been mixing up people's names as well. Moose has become just children now. When you get raided, it says some weird shit. Yeah, the like donates. The donate message, like the donation goal message or something. For like the charity stuff. I don't know what they've done. They've broken something. Well and truly, they've broken something. Oh. So wait, has Joggin, did you play at all with Thea? Do you plan on building her? Because I know Yoda was saying today that he was tempted and he really wanted to get her, and I was like, no! Don't do it, man! Think of the Shunha! Oh, let's see, I can close that. Damn. She will likely be benched for a while. Some people are saying that there's gotta be something happening in Fontaine that's gonna make her usable. Kind of like how no one was really using Cookie in the beginning, like when she first came out. That is a 4-star though. I'm trying to think if there were any others. Like I know Kokomi was being used, but she got better utilization after they added the clam set for her. Because that wasn't out, like, when she was released. Which is kind of silly, I think. I know some people were like... definitely want to get her. Like, I mean, I guess like I was with Tinari. Because who knows... Yoda got his first Mona as well. I was like, no ways. Been playing this game for like 2+ years now. No Monas? Just like really unlucky distribution of characters. You've been using him a lot? Yeah. This music's a bit intense. Don't know if it's too loud. He's a fun character to play though, and I think depending on what comp you're using, like he's nice to apply Dendro and then fuck off. Like you don't have to keep him out. Which is nice if you want to use someone else. Like I kind of enjoyed using him and Miko together, even though Miko doesn't need to be on field. I far more enjoy having her on field than Tinari. So yeah, but I'm also interested to see because Kave, we got drip marketing for Kave and Baiju. What was it this past week? What day? It's Wednesday today. So we got drip marketing for them, and I wonder what they're gonna add to Dendro and their reactions. Like, you know, we already have set teams for how we would use our Dendro characters, but are they going to change anything? Because everyone was saying that they're both like some kind of support. So what are they going to change? What are they going to do? Wednesday and no bosses? We are doing bosses. Did I say we're not doing bosses? I just don't have electricity right now, and I don't wanna play for a little bit. Just in case the power doesn't come back. So I don't wanna start just yet. Because of the inverter. Don't wanna kill it. Yeah, waiting for power. Hyperbloom spread. Oh, yes. That makes sense. Nahida, Yaya, and Kokomi. Yeah. And especially with that kind of team, if you have like a good amount of ER between all of those characters, you can get a pretty good rotation for them. Quite nice to have either characters that don't need to be on field or can switch off very quickly because they're not busy with something. It's nice to have that because then you have a very fast rotation. So like, I mean, Nahida you don't need out that often, but you would basically do like a rotation. Weave some Kokomi in there to keep her jellyfish uptime. But goddamn, rocking elegy, lots of ER. Ah, very nice. And also very nice that you don't have to aim shit. He just hits anything anyway. Even if you hit the ground, he'll still hit the enemy somehow. So even if you're not fully paying attention, as long as you're somewhat paying attention, shooting in the right direction, you'll be fine. That was the main purpose. Ended up being a lot of fun. Yeah, actually, I did have a lot of fun when I played with him in the beginning. But yeah, I think my gear for him is not that great. But yeah, that's kind of like, I don't know why my VTuber, she keeps closing her eyes, and I don't know why. My camera not looking at me? I don't know what I've done. I moved some stuff around today just to remove clutter off my table. But apparently my computer did not like that. Now it's calling at me. It's like, hey bitch, what you doing? But having a nice team, like I don't want to say like a relaxing team, but like one that you don't really have to think for, like a zero brain team, and just having Nahida and Yaya together, I think that's already like big no brain. But if you want to go into the minus brain cells, adding a Tinari in there, hell yeah. Mine, I need to put better gear on mine, because like for a while I was like moving stuff around. I was using that gilded set on him because I was using the Deepwood on... It was on Kale, I think, yeah. I may have key team. Basically, you just throw stuff around and don't get hit. You could make it even more ridiculous and go without a healer and just use Fischl instead. As long as you don't get bopped, you're fine. I think that could be interesting. Because I think in the open world you don't really take too much damage. Maybe for like Abyss it would be a little bit different. You would want to have definitely a healer or a shielder of some kind. You tried with Fischl and Yao Yao? Oh, Yao Yao instead of Nahida. The only problem with Yao Yao is that she needs to stay on field a bit for her burst. So it's not like at any point in time you could switch characters. Because with all the other ones you can basically, once they've cast, you can immediately switch off of them. With Yao Yao you would have to keep her on field for a little bit. Which is not the worst thing, because you have those other characters who don't need to be on field, but... maybe there would be a lot of a lot of bursts popping. Depending on her ER, I guess. Overall less damage. You wouldn't just go with no healer for like open world stuff? Because I feel like that could work well for open world. We don't take too much damage. Also learn to dodge. I gotta relearn how to dodge, man. Because I got into a weird habit. Because, I mean, we're not really fighting that many things in the open world anymore. But, like, when fighting the bosses and whatever, I have this, like, bad habit, and I don't know where it came from, of, like, almost constantly dodging. Like, constantly moving away from the enemy. And I struggle to play Hu Tao because I'm constantly dodging like that. Ah, it's so frustrating. Could work for open world, yeah. Just to be like ultra lazy. And just throw Oz out on top of everything else. You have the same problem? Oh, man, I don't know where I picked that habit up. I guess I don't really use the shield as that much. C1, it's less of a worry. Yeah, that's fair. I don't have C1, which is fine, because admittedly I don't play with Pyro much. I sometimes miss Pyro, because it was a nice kill-all. Pyro just always did lots of damage. But yeah. I think, I'm looking forward to Fontaine. We get lots of Hydro characters, and at the very least, the Hydro Archon. What's her name? Focalaws or something? I have no idea. Just like focal lenses? That's a weird name. Yeah. Haven't seen any news on that lately, but I am interested to see where the current story goes. Because I'm actually... Like, obviously I've been following the story, but I'm feeling a little bit lost at the moment in terms of what's happening. It's not a hard C. Yeah? Fossilor? What's that? Hey Hooded, missing a chatting stream. No worries, no worries. Are you busy? You studying? Fossilor? I'm gonna nickname her Focal. That's gonna be much easier to say. Her name is Focal now. The dang French and their dropping sounds. That makes sense though. Fontaine is French, right? Like based on France. Whereby you can play? Yes, where? Where? Give. We want to see the boy. Something, anything for your verse. We've been waiting how many years now? Also, did they like not change his outfit at all? Or are they going to be doing that like in a later update? Because I was under the impression that, well, based on what other people were saying, it looked like his design was going to change. But it didn't look like it did. It's maybe more detailed. No sensor. No sensors. No sensor. They changed very little. Yeah, they probably just added more detail. I mean, they did that with the other censored outfits were basically just more refined, detailed outfits. I don't know why everyone was like, oh, censorship. But anyway. Because, I mean, Amber's outfit was pretty simple. It is still very simple, but they did add a lot of detail to it. I think they just fine-tuned all of them, to be honest. Accessories. Yeah, it was probably just because he's, well, as far as I know, he's basically been around in the game since the beginning. Since the very beginning, we've always had the Boo Boo Pharmacy, so, like, he's always been there. So maybe he just needed a bit of a refresher for his design. yeah, I don't know. I think they would all kind of be due for a bit of an update. Because if you look at some of the characters from Sumeru, like Nilo and Candace, oh my gosh. They changed his belly button? How? What did they change about it? But yeah, like, just going over the old characters and giving them just a bit of a new coat of paint, basically. Because yeah, so the new characters in Sumeru, their outfits are so intricate, so beautiful. Even the 4-star characters, they're stunning. Makes the Mondstadt characters look a little bit lackluster in comparison. At least to me, I don't know. His belly button got bigger and more detailed. I understand why you know this, but I'm curious as to why they would make that kind of decision. Like if his belly button before was unassuming, why did they feel the need to jazz it up, bedazzle your belly button, make it more noticeable, be like, hey look, man's got a belly button, to prove he's a human, I guess, question mark. I wonder if Catherine's got a belly button. That's where Shin has belly button. Oh yeah, because she lost hers, didn't she? Women don't have belly buttons, only men do. Your belly button privileges have been revoked because you're a woman. Oh no. Poor Shenna. What did she do to deserve this? Take that. No! Noah, please. Give me peace, man. Shaking my damn head. I think I am like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I told you guys before, like today was a bit of a weird day. I'm gonna launch Genshin. You can start playing, but I think I might wait to do bosses until after the power's back, just because I'm always nervous. I'm not sure if it will come back. I'm always worried that it doesn't. You know, for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think we can start. Let me just change it. Genshin. Yeah, no worries, Mal. I said I'm not doing boss fights now. Don't worry. I'm just starting up. Nerf there, because she has a visible belly button. Oh! It's a Hoyoverse in battle against the belly buttons, you know. They can't allow belly buttons. Imagine having a belly button. Oh man. You don't have one, Mal? Men are allowed to have them, you know. Only women can't have belly buttons. Is it not showing the game after having just shown the goddamn launcher? Oh, it's gonna fuck this up. Why? Every time Genshin Impact, fucking Christ. It's now not interested in capturing Genshin. Whoops. You need to get one surgically added. They did surgery for a belly button. Let me not leak my Discord DMs. Oh yeah, I'm feeling sleepy today because it's hot and my jaw hurts and my file integrity is verified. Especially not the homophobic ones. Oh yeah, I got called homophobic today because I'm not swayed by Kave's use of a bag for attacking. I don't know, man. So I am homophobic now. Don't ask me what a hobo is, but I'm phobic about it. Not hobo. I said hovo. V, not a B. This is going on Reddit. But first, before you put it on Reddit, can you tell me what a hovo is? Because I'm not actually sure. It's like Hoover spelled really badly. I don't like Hoovers, man. Oh, it's someone who doesn't have a belly button. So wait, does that mean I'm afraid of people who don't have a belly button? So I'm afraid of Shinha? Shit, man. Does Catherine have a belly button? Oh my goodness, can you just do the thing, please? You think Catherine does? She's a fucking robot. Why do you think she got a belly button? I need to know. What's your theory behind this? An eye for detail? I mean, that is fair. Who's sending me messages? It's Noah, of course it is. Who else would it be? It was modeled after someone? I don't know, we don't see their bellies, Mal. Like 3D printing a hot anime porn. Oh god. Come now. Why is this thing being a beach? There we go, you motherfucker. Actually driving me insane in this game. I don't know why it does that. It's so frustrating. It's work now. Yeah. I have actually seen people, so like, ooh, we have lots of things to do. Ugh, I just did this. And I have to do it again. Let's go start with the test runs. Oh, people have been like 3D printing like dolls and stuff now, you know, like ball jointed dolls. That stuff used to be like, it would take ages. And the cost was insane for the dolls, because obviously they were like custom handmade dolls and shit. But like, now if they can just 3D print them, it's gonna save a lot of time. There's probably still a fair amount of time with like cleanup as well. But even so. I think it's that link his son clicked on before. Oh my goodness. Hi, Oni-chan! Hello, how are you? Man, I hate streaming. I don't know how people stream with one screen. I like never think to look at my phone. Hey, this kid attacks fast, what the heck? Did I just never notice before? What is this team? I'm asking for a friend. It's me, I'm the friend. I'm confused. Sano's a fun character to play, but he was very hyped up and then like everyone just went radio silent on him. Whoops. Can we see his belly button? Let's go have a look. Apparently not. I don't know how people computer with one screen. Yeah, that as well. Let's go look at the archive. Because obviously I don't have him. Doesn't appear to have a belly button, but he doesn't have nipples either, so this is not surprising that he's lacking some human anatomy. His second toe is also longer than his big toe. High-waisted? Entirely possible. Entirely possible the belt sits too high, that we can't actually see his belly button. She's got a hell of a belly button. The world will know. Who else has got a visible belly button? Ayo. Ah!
Thanks to @jargon1674 for my sub gift. GG's UWU.
GG's UWU. So Nilo's is also covered. His is covered. Candace has got a semi-covered belly button. They really do go and make everyone their own belly button though. Well, like the characters who have visible ones. Because they both have belly buttons, but they look very distinct. Dory's got an itty bitty belly button. Can see a bit of hers. So that's 3 belly buttons so far. Oh, Cookie-chan! This is quite hard to see, but it's there. Is that 4? Denied. Oh, his son. Sorry to hear that, man. What is join the posse? Join the posse is something that's on my starting screen. So you see over here, this little dude. This is our first one. This is Jargon's one. If you read the description for join the posse, I'll have an icon or a chibi to represent you on my starting. I don't know, do I use it on the BRB screen? I can't remember. And the ending overlays. Yeah, it's just a way to show support. You're part of the posse, part of the people who have helped me get to where I am today. So yeah. That's cool, thank you. But yes, this one is Dragon. It's a little pass in a onesie of a kitty cat. That's Jargon's kitty cat. Ninja. Mao, you're on 173. Damn. 124, Hassan. I can almost get again, which I obviously won't, but I almost have enough. Yeah, sorry. I need to maybe find some other point redeems to do. Bonk. Oh, it's covering Espion now. There we go. 63k, holy shit. Alright, we were inspecting belly buttons, right? Ito's got an Ellie button. Oh my god, okay. I've lost count of belly buttons now. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5. You can see it there. He's got such a tiny one. Was that number 6? Yeah, number 6. Oh! Number 7. I don't think she has a visible one. There's hers! Teeny tiny. What is that, 8 now? You gonna save for that high five? You could spam more, but it's out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, it's fine. Baby kitty belly button. Yeah, this is teeny tiny. Trying Wulong demo. I don't know what that is, Hassan. Is that the game that you were doing badly at? So wait, was she number 8? I think she was number 8. Because the last one we had was Kokomi. Nine, Benetto. Ten. Does Razor have a shirt on underneath? No, that's his open skin, right? He doesn't have... I actually don't know. Is that his belly button or... What do you guys think? Is that belly button or nah? Was that 10? There's 10 whole belly buttons visible in this game. That's a lot of belly buttons. Y'all think it is? This is a cat. Oh man. The game I was playing yesterday. Oh, Hassan, I've never played those kinds of games. Why would I play that? Just out of curiosity. Why do you think I would play that kind of game? 10 belly buttons and 0 nipples? Wait, we don't have any nipples at all? How many like actually topless characters do we have? Oh right, he's got bondage straps over his nips. I don't think there's no nips visible, hey? Cause Sino don't got nips. We know that much. And you can't see anything with Razor because he's got that jacket on. He definitely has more definition in the booba area. I feel like Sino's color's very flat. Like, you can't actually see anything. Like, very flat. They should have put more shading. Because there is a little bit of shape, but not really. Truly a washboard, this one. I don't think we have a lot of characters with a bare chest anyway, so... Yeah, that's pretty fair. No nips. No nips and 10 belly buttons. I don't know, I can't tell if that's winning or not. Sino has the nipple pixel. He has a pixel. He has a pixel for his nipple. Damn. They just didn't color it. Oh man, that's hilarious. Alright, let's see. I can maybe start with the big boy fights now. I don't know if anyone's around, if anyone wants to go slap some bosses. We'll do Mao's ones later when he's available. It pokes out. I judge Ito cosplays on if the nipple is visible. Oh my god, the censorship of the nipple. Jargon's just like, your nipples are visible. Trash. Oh right, I didn't do this. Let me go do this so long. Put me on the judging panel. You're just gonna judge all the characters' nipples. We want nipples? That's bold of you to assume, Dan. You want nipples? You can't speak for everyone. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. Is what I'm trying to say. Oh, I actually have no idea what she does, but let's motherfucking go. Okay, girl. Relax. Kinda cool. Mao. Most of us. Disappointed. Whomsoever does not want nipples, speak up now. The thing, Mao, they're supposed to be out of context. They're supposed to be out of context. The ones that don't count are the ones like if I read out of chat or if I'm reading something like in a game. Like those obviously don't count because, you know, I'm just reading. Because otherwise you could make me say all kinds of stupid shit. If I just say it and it's something dumb out of context would be funny, then it's fine, I think. Some people don't get that though. You got some anatomy finished? Oh, Hassan. Best of luck. No one spoke up. Okay, everyone does actually want nipples. I mean, everyone is not here, Noah, but sure. Let's go with that. Bosses, anyone? No, thank you. I don't want to buy any. Also, is my game sound really low or was it fine? Because I just realized now that I have the random music still playing. But I don't know if my game volume's actually loud enough. And I can't see because I can't tab out. Imagine not watching. The non-watchers are irrelevant. Oh man. It sucks to be them, I guess. Oh yay. Hey yo. I still need to do the satisfaction survey. Keep getting to it. You have to run and get pizza? Oh shit. Alright, if there's any other big boys that need boss kills, speak now. Okay, I'm just gonna be right back. Headache has not improved? Oh, fuck. Have you taken something for it? I'm gonna be right back though. Just a seckie. Hey yo! My VTuber was doing wacky ass shit, so I decided to turn it off. Alright. Pardon for the delay. Yeah, I think we can go. There's no new bosses yet, right? We haven't had any... There's no new story or anything. No maps. No, okay, we're good. Let's see, let's see. It's a dead patch. Hi Yoda! How was your stream? I missed it, the end, because of load shedding. You know how it be.
Excuse me.
Ah! Timmy, God of the Pigeons, thank you for the follow and welcome to the posse. Petition to not kill my birds. That's fine, I won't kill your birds, Timmy. I might kill you though. I don't know who to bring. Dragon's bring. Okay. That's fine. Quick hi and bye. No worries, Yoda. The best thing about this patch is the 3.6 weeks. Oh man. Ow. Frozen Kokomi. Kill me? Yeah. You've been offered up in place of your pigeons. Sacrifice yourself to the pigeon gods, you know? Of course she did. Why wouldn't she move, you know? Oh, what the heck? Because I don't have enough of those laying around. Mid phase is so mid. Did we go through any phases there? I feel like we just kicked her ass before she really went anywhere. She was just straight up vibing. And dying, of course. To me. I'm not actually going to kill you. I don't have that ability. Just, you know, if you had to decide between you and your pigeons, who would you pick? Would you die to save your pigeons? Or do you not love them as much as you pretend to? Who's got Chi-Chi out? I play like the same thing every time. I'm a little bit boring. Make your choice. You love your pigeons, so you're saying you die for your pigeons? Get him! Woo! Oops. Whoops. Oof, loud. Bubble died? Bubble, why you die? Goddamn, lady, relax. Woof. God damn it. Ah. Nice. You got Dayad? What does that mean? This boss is gonna live to see 3.6? What do you mean? You sacrifice your own... Aw, that's very sweet of you to me. You sacrifice your life for your pigeons. You do love them. Someone has to, right? It sure as hell ain't gonna be the rest of us. We eating pigeon tonight, boys. Alternatively, we eat to me and spare the pigeons. Yeah, I don't know how we avoid that phase where there's the ring on the outside and then the ring on the inside. I have no idea. How about both? We eating Timmy and the pigeons? Also, hi, Franz. How are you? Timmy sandwich with pigeons as the bread. The feathers as well, Noah? Or... Oh, my power just came back. Ow! Proper dingaling, this guy. What the heck, man? No chill, no chill. Not that we needed that at all, to be fair. Not for me. Dinah's choice. Oh, man. Some people do eat pigeon though, right? But it's like a fancy, like, proper breed of chicken. Of pigeon. Not just one you'd grab off the side of the road. Oh, ow, ow, ow. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I dodged straight into that one. Why am I running around with tiny legs? Pew, 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 pew. Woof! I know Mao's just finishing some work now. Oh wait, not that one. Oh shit, sorry guys. I was like reading chat there. My bad. My bad. A head pad for me. I don't know if it's working. You're gonna need to progress the story. Yeah. Well, I would say at least level his things to like 6. Wait, did stream die? Was it muted? That's fine. I wasn't saying anything important. I was just trying to fix shit. Because the power came back, so I had to move everything around. I don't know who this is. Yeah, I was just moving everything around. Because going from one screen to 3 screens is a bit of a difference. I have to redistribute everything, move it around, make sure everything's still working. Thanks, guys. With the space? No, without the space only. Yeah, let me go do this. Can play a bit of the Stowie. It's been a hot second since we had our conquest. I can't even remember where we were in the story, what was happening. Also, Puggy, how are you? Sorry. Because I was busy, like, trying to fix all my shit. My brain was just no worky. Stuffing your face. Oh, with the pizza? Did you say you're having pizza? I don't know why my brain said pizza. Is it loud enough?
ちょうどあなた宛ての手紙が私の手元にありまして、ある外国人から預かったものなのですが、その人にこちらの郵便システムをうまいこと利用されてしまったんです。手紙を必ず届けるという確約を得た後、極めて曖昧な届け先を記入されてしまいまして。
オイラたちに手紙を届けるのって結構難しいんだよな。何しろオイラたちずーっとあっちこっち駆け回ってるし、手紙を受け取るにはむしろオイラたちの方から郵便受けに行って探すしかないかもな。
I'll readjust it properly when I get out of the cutscene. Buffalo chicken? Is it a chicken-sized buffalo or a buffalo-sized chicken?
そうなんです。しかも、もし手紙を届けられなければ、規則に従ってこちらが賠償しなければなりません。本当にあの人にはしてやられました。しかし、どうやら運は私の味方をしてくれたようですね。ええ、どうぞ。
オイラにも見せてくれ。一体誰からの手紙なんだ？
Kaya! It's been a while. How have you been? I've heard that the two of you are traveling in snow. Happen to be in Port Ormos on official business. Lately I've been stopping by Jafar Tavern for a drink or two every afternoon. If luck's on my side and this letter successfully reaches you, come to me then and we can catch up on old times. We'll see it as a fated encounter. Your trusty buddy? Yeah, it is. You want to do it yourself? Yeah, no worries, no worries. Thank you. Have a good evening.
むしろもしこの手紙が本当に届いたら、それこそ運命の定めってことになって、オイラたちの方からあいつのところに行かなきゃならないんじゃないか？まあ、何にせよ、昔の友達に会うのは嬉しいことだもんな。手紙によると、あいつは毎日午後になると、ジャパン
Kisses! Kisses to you! Only to you. A wine-scented letter. Yeah, that sounds about right. Where are we going? God above. Moderators, can you see that? Yes, I know, Tian. I know. Do you know why? Because it says possible ban evader monitoring. Take a screenshot, Mal. Post it on the Discord. That's funny as fuck. Tian, why do you feel like you make yourself an irritating little shit and then you're surprised when there's repercussions? For why? Did you never stick your hand in fire as a kid and be like, ow, that's hot, don't do that again? Or you touched something really hot or really cold and you got a fright and you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't do that again. You are an irritating shit? Yeah, don't I know it? Also, hi Pocahontas. But you know, why are you surprised? Why you come in here saying, wow? Wow. Imagine The consequences of my actions catching up. Wow! Is what you should be saying. You know? You little shit. Do it again, I'll ban your alt account as well. I report your ass for ban evasion. Yeah? The thing is, Tian, that I share like a ban list with like a bunch of other people. So if you're on my ban list, you're on theirs as well. People get a notification like, hey, this person was banned in another stream. I know I used to use bans back when I was a mod for someone else, like before I was even streaming. I would just ban people willy-nilly for the lols, but now it seems like not the best idea. Ah! Where is this shit? Oh, it's that way. Why did I run this way? You got C1 Chi-Chi? You got 30. You're at 30 pity? Hell yeah, Pocahontas! Not yet. Not your boy, TN69. Okay, okay. Why is this not your main? Yeah, this should be your main. Yes, Tian? You got the claymore thingy? What's the claymore thingy? For Ito? How? I have no idea what you're saying, boy. Baiju hunters will be Baiju havers, definitely. Dia? Oh, he got the current banner, is going to give it to Ito. Oh, I was like, Ito's weapon is not out at the moment, Tian. What are you smoking? But said it in the most confusing way possible, that's for sure. My normal banner gave me a Jade Primordial Spear this month. Very nice. I have 2 of them now. It's actually it's a fucking amazing weapon. There's so many characters who could use it. It might not be best in slots, but like it's good for a lot of people. Thoughts on Kaya? I don't know if at some point I didn't like him. Jargon keeps trying to convince me that he's a terrible character. Crit stat stick, yeah, basically. that's how it performs on my Zhao. Not my Zhao, my Zhongli. There's alt doesn't work with Yelan or Xingqiu. What? Did you end up getting her, Rich? Did you go for her? And her punches don't proc his normal attacks. Man, I feel like they went a really weird way with her. Oh, wait, you got Yelan? I meant Dea. Dia. Keep saying her name wrong. They fucked up. They did, because I feel like people keep pointing out the flaws in her attacks. And one of the things that was an issue was it her normal attacks knock things back? So when she does the attacks, she pushes the enemy away, so her final hit in the rotation doesn't actually like hit the enemy. It kind of just like floats in front of them. Ayaka and Baiju are my next targets. Nice. So we're going for similar things then. Welcome, Hooded. It seems like they fucked up in several ways with the poor girl.
ほう、なかなか鋭いじゃないか。馴染みがあるというほどじゃないな。ただ、俺が子供の頃に一度だけこっそり来たことがあるんだ。うん。
それで
おっと、これ以上喋る必要があったか？
Mana?
お前たちと昔話をするつもりではあった
Do you
が
have Nilo?
これはあくまで俺自身の昔だからな。
Why did they make her so bad? I don't know, Pocahontas. It's very unusual because there was a lot of hype for her. Like, she came across as a complete badass in the story. The videos and everything, she looked so fucking cool. They did her the dirtiest, as Rich said. It's true. They did her so dirty, and I don't know why. I feel like she could have done really well if they'd had made her as ridiculous as they make the other characters on release. Because people were simping for Dia, like, in the beginning. In the beginning! Right in the beginning. No Nilo, but you have her sword? Oh shit. Does anyone use her sword besides her? Swear word? Me? Oni-chan?
だから当時の俺はこっそりと貨物に忍び込み、キャラバンと一緒にスメールまで行ったんだが、
Did I swear? I was swearing last night at dinner and I didn't even notice.
キャラバンの責任者が俺を見つけた後、父さんの手で直々に連れ戻されたよ。すまん、大した昔話じゃなかったな。
Oh, nobody uses the weapon? Oof. Rip. But also, this is an 18 plus stream, so yes, obviously I'm going to swear. Gonna be some F-bombs thrown around, some other bombs as well. So if it hurts your tender ears. Sounds like a skill issue. We swear here? Fuck. Yeah. Shit, man. That's news to me. I swear. Not a fuck. Not a fuck in a whorehouse, as I like to say. Dia's weapon is bloody brilliant though, I'll say that. Oh, yeah. Another stat stick, to be fair. You clipped it, why?
もちろん楽しく生きられたならなおさらだ。と言っても、これは全部俺の勝手な想像だけどな。とにかくお前に有用な情報は提供。
Fucking chaos probably does too. Does Dan swear? To be honest, I don't think Dan really swears.
おそらくアルベリヒという名字だけだろう。
Do you swear, Dan? I don't know if I've ever heard you swear. Oh! I forgot he had a grandpa voice. Dan is a big cursor? No ways. Dan Sleep's grandpa voice.
近くで盗み聞きするだけじゃなく、やっと俺たちの話に参加していただける気になったようだ。すでにモンドで面識があったよな。ダインスレイブで会っているか？
俺のことを知っているのなら窮地と言っていいだろう。ガイア・アルベリヒ、アビス教団創立者の末裔よ。
Pardon? What? Yeah, same. Same. Same, Paimon.
貴様は今までこのことを知らなかったのだろうな。でなければ、ああも堂々とその名字を口にはしなかったはずだ。
まったく。この名字にそんな面倒事が隠されていたとはな。だがこれで俺の推測は裏付けられる。
Audio. No worries, no worries.
父が俺をモンドに残した原因はこれか。
Yeah, no worries, no worries, Rich. If anyone, because I am doing the Archon quest, if anyone needs to Loki's, no worries. It's all good in the hood. I understand.
ああ、ちょうど俺の頭の中にあるいくつかの疑問を解決してくれたからかもしれないな。それに、俺はお前のその瞳が何なのかを知っている。お前は最も純粋な血を持つカーン・ルイヤ人だろ。
よく頭の回るやつだ。率直に言わせてもらうが、貴様が先ほどこいつに言った言葉、それを裏切るなよ。貴様が
I said fuck? No ways. Me? Cussing? On stream? On an 18 plus stream? Couldn't be. Could not be.
話が急にシリアスになりすぎじゃないか。モンド人の俺はそういうのに慣れていないんだが、血筋の由来を知ったところでそれがどうしたって言うんだ。
Pineapple, thank you for the lurkies. Hope you're having a great evening.
そう心配するな。これまで同様、機会があれば俺は喜んでアビス教団の連中を懲らしめてやるさ。
Captain America would be disappointed. I bet Captain South Africa would give her a high five. Yeah. I'm not from America, so Captain America has no power here because we have load shedding, so he can't do anything anyway. You have no power here, quite literally.
おっと、そろそろ時間だな。香料を扱っている商人と商談の約束があるんだ。先に失礼するぜ。
そうなのか。じゃあまたな、ガイア。
ああ、またな。それとダインスレイブさん、今度酒場で会ったらおごってやるよ。ただ横で人の話を聞いてるだけなんてもったいないだろ。
ダインはガイアのこと信用してないのか。二人とも同じカンルイヤ人なのに、まるで水と油みたいだぞ。
俺はあいつのことをまだよく知らない。故に今すぐ結論を出しても意味のないことだ。血筋は果たして本当に人に何の影響ももたらさないのか。俺はそれに疑問を抱いているだけだ。
Why would we think the sibling is the founder? Is that something we thought?
貴様の血縁者がアビス教団に王子と呼ばれているのは、まさにこの継承に関係してのことだろう。
でなきゃ、アビス教団の王って呼ばれるべきだからか？
運命の食器を追うためだ。この名をまだ覚えているか？
おう、モンドにいた頃、オイラたちが発見したアビス教団の計画のことだろ？
いや、新しい手がかりとは言えない。ただ、ずっと記憶の摩耗に抗えずにいたという。
Yes, yes, get out of here, Hooded.
少し前に
Shoo.
傷を癒していたところ、
Shoo, shoo.
偶然にもいくつかのことを思い出してな。
Have a good evening.
貴様の血縁者と共に旅をしていたとき、彼から同じ言葉を聞いていたんだ。運命の食器をな。ああ、俺の記憶とあの言葉が結びついたときにはいささか驚いた。その記憶によると、あれは当時の俺たちが共にスメール
No, no worries. Don't apologize. As we say in South Africa, Putzak.
お兄さんがそれを口にした場所を調べようとしてるってことか？
I'm shrimping because my brain is melting naturally. How you doing, Settles?
それはスメールのアビディアの森のどこかだった。
じゃあ早速向かおうぜ。数百年も埋もれてた秘密がオイラたちを待ってるかもしれないぞ。
いや、今はまだその時ではない。違う。ただ、俺の頼んだ酒がまだだ。
I think that's why it's pretty quick.
大半のものの一生は紙に書いても数行にしかならず、そのほとんどが退屈な物語なんじゃ。
Oh yeah, I wanted to check. Yeah, his stats are pretty bad. I did think they would be though.
待て。ここは少し覚えがある。
He still does okay damage though.
特に変わったところは見当たらないけど、数百年前もこんな感じだったのか？
ああ、この森のすべてが俺の記憶とあまり変わりない。何しろここの環境はめったに人に影響されることがないからな。近くを調べよう。何か手がかりがあるかもしれない。
これって畑か？そこの家に住んでる人が作ったのかな？でも長いこと使われてないみたいだ。そのせいでここに何が植えられてたのか全くわからない。そもそも本当に何か植えてたことがあるのかな？消された焚き火があるな。レンジャーが残したものかな？この痕跡を見た感じ、ここで焚き火をしたのはかなり昔っぽいな。ちゃんと火を消して火事にならないよう予防したみたいだ。
この辺りには価値のある手がかりはなさそうだ。残るはあの家だけか。
He's the origin of Dendrite or started from Dane's Leaf.
まだ誰か
Yeah, that sounds about right. That checks out.
お邪魔していい？
He's the actual Dendro Archon.
いや、そのようには見えない。この辺りには生活をしている形跡もないしな。心置きなく調べられるだろう。
そうなのか。じゃあまずお前が先に入れよ、ダイウン。
Now he wears star cloaks. I find it very weird that both him and Paimon got star cloaks. Why? What is the reasoning behind that?
どうやら本当に誰もいないみたいだな。埃が積もってるし。
That was such a cute sneeze. What the fuck?
誰も住んでないっぽいけど。
How much you want to bet the English Paimon sneezes really loudly, really annoyingly?
見逃さないようにしろ。
ご飯を食べるのに使うお椀だ。こ こに住んでたやつは自炊をしてたんだな。
いや、気づかないか。薬剤の匂いがかなり強く残っている。
お、じゃあ薬を飲むためのお椀か？くんくんく。本当だ。ダイン、お前かなり鼻が利くんだな。箱があるぞ。開けてみるか？お前が開けてくれ。おいらは中のものに指を噛まれないか怖い。
She doesn't even hide it.
あれ？これって鏡？しかも割れてる。この箱ってもしかして化粧箱だったのかな？ちょっとがっかりだな。何か大きな秘密が隠されてるのかと思ったのに。この部屋にはダインが言うほどおかしなものはないみたいだ。どこにでもある普通のベッドだな。下には特に何もないみたいだ。ここって暗いし湿っぽいし、絶対住み心地が悪いよな。一体どんなやつが住んでたんだろう。特に注意するようなところはなさそうだな。ダイン、お前の記憶違いなんじゃないか？本当にこの辺なのかよ。
記憶にいささか曖昧なところがあるとはいえ、俺の潜在意識と本能がここで何かがあったとずっと囁いている。まあいい、果てもなく調査したところでただ精神を疲弊させるだけだ。それに今しがた外から物音が聞こえた。ひとまずここから出よう。
物音？まさか。
心配無用だ。ただの雑魚だろう。
This house is cute as hell, man.
やっぱり魔物だ。ダインって鼻が利くだけじゃなくて耳もいいんだな。全然数百歳の人には見えないぜ。でもダインの常識を超えてるところはそれだけじゃないよな。とりあえずこの魔物を片付けようぜ。丸見えね。にゃ。
Oh man.
手をつなぎましょう。
呪言律令チョック。
動かないでね。
先ほどの魔物の出現
On today's episode of Amritio Poe, we have an automatic lethal, but you don't, cause you're poor.
地脈の異常か。それだけではないようだ。こうするとしよう。俺はここから少し離れ、近くの地脈に問題がないか調べてくる。時間がかかるかもしれないが、貴様たちはここで待っていてくれ。
一人で行くつもりか？まさか何かオイラたちに隠しておきたい秘密があるとかじゃないよな。
くだらん邪推だ。俺はただ調査の要はあくまでこの家屋の付近にあり、誰かをここに残して観察する必要があると考えているだけだ。何せ地脈の調査のようなレンジャーでもできることなら、俺一人で十分だからな。
ねえ、わかったよ。確かにその通りでもあるしな。じゃあオイラたちはここでキャンプでもするか？ちょうどあっちに焚き火があったから美味しいものでも作ろうぜ。あっちこっち走ったし、オイラもうお腹ペコペコだぞ。
お任せあれ。
Ta-da! Main thief. Sounding kind of hot here. His Japanese voice is very nice.
お前が作る料理は相変わらず美味しいな。この料理の腕だけでお前には一生ついていけるぜ。そういえばダインのやつ、さすがに遅くないか？空が真っ暗になってもまだ帰ってこないなんて。近くの地脈に問題があるとか言ってたけど、まさか本当に何か大変なことが起こったわけじゃないよな。ここには一緒に来たのに、今はオイラたち二人だけか。でも思い返してみると、二人だけでいる時間ってもうかなり長いよな。別に深い意味はないけど、ちょっとだけ聞いてもいいか？オイラと一緒にいるのって退屈だったりしないよな。
She's so cute.
そんなはっきり言われると、オイラも照れちゃうぞ。だから話してくれる気になるかわからないけど、オイラ、お前がお兄さんと一緒に旅してた時のことを知りたいんだ。どんな感じだったんだ？星空？おー。
We traveled through the universe, always by each other's side. We saw all manner of hope and despair. What the fuck? Why would this game give me an onset EM goblet? Because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Wow. She's so cute, man. This seems like a campaign to make us like Paimon more. You know what? I was thinking that. I was like, is MiHoYo using this as a way to like gauge how people feel about Paimon? That's what it feels like. I don't know. Oh, that's so sad. The fuck? Daddy Dane, pardon. You're comfortable enough to admit he's daddy? Is he not grandpappy though? Because he sounds very grandpa to me. I don't know. Besides his age being like however many 100 years old that guy is. Maybe just me. That bitch old. Yeah? Granddaddy? Only the grandest of daddies for us. No, that was a weird thing to say. I take that back. I don't know if I want to go in there if it's not Paimon, to be honest. I meant to say it like grandpa. And yeah, then it sounded weird when I said it. I was like, I take that back. Intimidating man. Fuck you, bud.
旅の仲間とは、ゆうべ君のそばで見張っていたもののことか。それなら、明け方に森の方へ行くのを見たぞ。それを知ってどうする？とにかく、ここは
What business did you have lurking around my camp? That's what I want to know.
わかったらさっさと立ち去ってもらおうか。
Because was he not minding his own business by doing that? I don't know. Call me crazy, but...
どうした？なぜどこにも行かない？呆れた。仕方がない。いいだろう。影から君のことを観察させてもらったが、レンジャーでも教令員のものでもなさそうだしな。だがいいか。余計な真似はするなよ。これを守れるなら好きにしていい。
The illusion of choice once more.
じゃあどいてもらえるか？私は中に入りたいんだ。たく、なんてやつだ。勝手にするといい。もともとずっとごまかせるとも思ってなかったしな。入れ。ただ。
Oh, there's codes. I didn't actually grab the codes. I know I definitely saw them. I don't know, this guy feels like a bit of a dickhead for no reason. Let me put those codes in before I forget, because... No! Fuck, I guess... Never mind. Because we can't... open the menu right now. Okay, cool. Guess I'll just do this. Thank you though, Jargon. I will do it in a moment. Mind your business, bitch.
この子に攻撃性はない。何せ、その全身は幼すぎたからな。とにかく、この子に手を出そうなんて考えるな。もし疲れや寒さのせいで休みたかったら、適当に場所を見つけるといい。
It's the eyes.
まさか、君がカーン・ルイヤのことを知っているとはな。一体何者だ？
It's definitely his eyes.
神を信仰しているか、旅人よ。
どうやら君もいろいろあったようだな。よかろう。私の名はエデ。君の言う通り、カーン・ルイヤ人だ。さっきまで態度が悪かったことは謝らせてほしい。私の知る限り、七神を信仰する者以外の人間は、この世からもうほとんどいなくなっているからな。そして、神の信仰者は全員敵だ。とにかく、カーン・ルイヤの最悪が起こってから今に至るまで、こうやって君のようなものと会話ができる機会は少なかったのだ。忌まわしい不死の呪いめ。こんな生活をいつまで続けなければならないというのだ。不死の呪いは、あの憎き神々がカーン・ルイヤ人に授けた贈り物だ。我々は故郷を失い、家族を失い、すべてを失った。最悪がもたらし
Hierarchy!
た苦痛は、最初から耐え難いものだったにもかかわらず、不死の呪いは、さらにすべての逃げ道を。
Oh, Genshin Gift. Yeah, that's one of the, like, the beginning ones. In the beginning.
していくのをただ眺めながら、朽ち果てていくしかないのだ。カーン・ルイヤ人の定義は、何もカーン・ルイヤの最初の血筋を引いたものだけを指して
Thank
い
you
るわ
for
け
the
ではない。
head pats.
神
Oh,
に
it's not
背いたも
working
のが
though?
カーン・ルイヤを訪れれば、
Because Genshin's
そ
a
の
needy
まま
bitch.
国民として受け入れられるのだ。そのため、
I'm doing okay,
神から
Roxy.
不
How
死
are
の呪い
you?
を受けたのは、罪深いものとされた血筋の最も純粋なカーン・ルイヤ人のみ。そして、他の魔人の血筋を持った国民た
I'm
ち
actually
は、
not too sure how much longer I'm going to be able to stream. I haven't been feeling good today, and I thought I'd feel better when streaming, but I've really been struggling. So, yeah, I'm trying to gauge whether or not I'll be able to continue, because even just listening to the story...
死生児であり、カリベルトという。かつてあんなにも口にするのがはばかられたことを、今になってようやく平然と言えるようになるとはな。血筋の関係で、私はかつてカーン・ルイヤ王室の貴族だった。
You got 23 wishes? Oh, shiz!
だが私はずっと家族に用意された生活に不満を抱いていたんだ。そんな時、私は平民のとある美しい女性に出会った。彼女はモンドの血筋を持つ者で、彼女こそが私の運命の相手だと確信したよ。カリベルトが生まれてからは、まさに苦難の連続だった。そのすべてが私の身勝手な行いのせいだ。それに私は、この子のそばにいてあげることができなかった。そして、この子は私の目の前でヒルチャールになった。
Jeez.
本来、私があげるべきものを、この子は何も受け取ることができなかった。
Yikers, man.
だが今はようやく、この子のそばにいてあげられる。
Ah, thank you, Roxy.
彼女は、いや、彼女は私たちとはぐれてしまったんだ。
Oh, shop reset as well.
あの
Shit.
時のことはあまり思い出したくない。
If you go to your guide, it should be there. Ah, I haven't really looked at anything, actually.
大丈夫だ。
But that's good to know. Not that I'm going to use them now. Did you already use your wishes? Were you going for Sino or Dia?
それに対し、ほとんど
Or you
全て
just putting them in the
を失
bank
ってい
for
る時
now?
は、逆にまだ失っていないものに目が行くものだ。
Because, yeah, free...
私には
free fate's always nice.
そうだった。カリベルトの様子を確認するためだけに私は戻ってきたんだった。
I want to know,
まだやるべきことが残って
did
い
he
る。
stick with his son the whole time? That he knew it was him? Or... What are you supposed to do when someone is being unnecessarily flirty with you in co-op? If it's making you uncomfortable, tell them that it's making you uncomfortable and you want them to stop. If they don't stop, kick them. Goodbye.
は制約であり道具でもある。しっかりと頭に入れておけ。もし忘れたらもう一回教えてやらなきゃ。
Especially if it's like a stranger, someone you don't know. Tell them to fucking relax themselves. Hey Luke, I'm doing okay. How are you? Sending good vibes. Thank you, thank you. Wah, 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 wah.
よいしょっと。
I'm like trying to read chat. Sorry, I fell behind a little bit because of the the not cutscene, the dialogue just now. So my brain was just there. Joking. But yeah, I would say definitely kick them out. It's in the bank for Ayaka. Oh, very nice. Oh, actually, oh, fuck, I'm still in the cutscene. That's fine. Bloated. Oh man.
こっちだ。先ほど君は私がカリベルトをスメールまで連れてきた理由を聞いたが、その理由を今教えてやろう。カリベルトの必要とする薬はこのスメールでしか作れないのだ。あの子の知性を取り戻す薬をな。それだけでカリベルトの呪いが解けるとは期待していない。私の力で
Oh man, that's sad.
神
Fuck.
の裁きを覆すことなど到底できないと。
I'm not too much a fan of sushi. I think that maybe we've had this discussion before.
その薬はスメールの知恵の神の力を借りたもので、埋もれてしまった知性を呼び覚ますことができるという。
I've tried it before, but like, I don't know, not for me, I guess.
精神障害を患った者のために使われていたそうだ。
Which is fine, you know, because everyone has
それで
different
あれば
tastes.
もしやと思ってな。カーン・ルイヤ王室の大図書館だ。そこのとある書物に記されていた。その薬は七神の力を借りる必要があるため、禁書として管理されていたよ。若い頃、宮廷貴族の生活に満足できず、常に刺激を求めていたからこそ、私はあの本を読むことができたんだ。ならどうしろというのだ。何を頼ればいい。神はすでに我々に裁きを下した。今さら禁忌を気にする道理なんてないだろう。大丈夫だ。分かってくれればいい。
Woof.
すまない。時々自分の感情を制御できなくなるんだ。おそらく長く生きすぎたせいだろう。この薬を合成するには君の助けが必要だ。私のこの両手は今やもう細かな作業をするのに向いていない。きっとこの中身は朽ちていっているのだろう。なんとも煩わしい不死の呪いだ。この材料を君に託す。
He's very angry.
他にもスメールで育った特産が必要だ。
Yes.
君は持っているだろうか。確か名前はカルパラタハスとスメールローズだ。それはよかった。これで材料が全部
What if you've never picked them up before, though? Does the game still make you say that?
私が記録した薬の製法だ。
I wonder.
作ってくれないか。
Okay, can I? I'm still in this. Oh my goodness, I'm stuck here. Thanks
Would
for
you
the
like a cup
lurking.
of
Oh
water?
shit.
Because you look thirsty as fuck right now.
Thank you for the sippy. It's not making enough noise for you to hear it, but I definitely took a sippy. What about sushi? Don't you like seaweed, rice, all the seafood? To be fair, I like all of those things. I like all of those things. I just don't happen to like them together. I don't mind the vegetarian sushi. Vegetarian sushi is fine. I'll eat it. And like gimbap, the like Korean with the rice and the seaweed and they put a whole bunch of stuff in gimbap. I'm actually not too sure what was in the one I ate, but in any case, I'll eat that. But like, yeah, no, I guess not partial to the raw fish. There's nothing wrong with sushi. It's just, you know, not for me. Hydrate or dihydrate, exactly. Hydrate before you dihydrate. Are you doing good, Yoda? Okay, what did this guy want me to make? He wanted me to make this thing, right? What is this? Do I get a crafting bonus? Damn it. Korean sushi. Don't say that to a Korean. I don't know that song. Jargon, are you smoking something? Maybe before your time. Oh, sorry. It's just an age thing. Yes, you are an old man. I never fail to remind you.
正直に言うと、私もこの薬がどんなものなのか把握していないのだ。何しろ、あの禁書には挿絵がなかったからな。さて、ついにこの時が来たか。いや、実はこの薬はまだ完成していない。
Was popular in the 90s? I was gonna say so was I, but that would have been weird because I was born in the 90s. Hey? Oh, hi. You working? Alright. Is working. Okay. Guys, I have no idea. I have no idea. Because on my OBS, it said everything was still working. So, I have no idea. All I did was stop streaming, start streaming. So, you know. Welcome! Ew. Obviously bullshitting? Oh, definitely. 運命。
神よ。もはやこの地の中にある罪が 私とは関係がないことを証明しようとは思わない。ただ幼い不幸な子に
No worries, I did.
慈悲を願いたいのだ。我が息子カリベルト。世にある美しいものを何一つ見ないまま魔物になってしまった。これは本当に幼い命がたどるべき最後ではない。
Oh, he's just a child? Oh, that's rough.
すべて最初から傲慢なカーンルイヤ人の頭を下げさせるためのものだったのなら、私はこの頭を下げよう。これまでの人生で守り抜いたすべてを捨てた。ほんのわずかな奇跡であろうとも願う。カリベルトにこの世界を再び
Does anyone play Monster Hunter? Oh man, I have like the base game. And I played like very little of it. Because the mouse and keyboard controls were like really terrible. According to Kai, Nat plays lots. Yeah, one of my stream friends kept introducing me as a Monster Hunter streamer, and I was like, no. I think I either have 0 or very low playtime on Monster Hunter, because I played it on a friend's account. So I think mine actually shows like little to no playtime. But this other friend kept saying, oh yeah, Nat plays Monster Hunter. The one day I left him for a while to say it. I thought it was quite funny. And then one day I was like, Kai, you know you always introduced me as a Monster Hunter streamer. I've never streamed that game. And he's like, no. He wouldn't believe it. He thought I was messing with him. Pro Monster Hunter streamer. Imagine. I could try though, because I do have it on Steam. That'll be pretty funny. I just got healed against my will. Thanks, game. I could actually try it again now that I have a controller. I could give it another try. I think it's much easier on controller. The keyboard, mouse and keyboard controls are so janky that it was just like, it was very like frustrating to play because the keys just didn't make sense. Like it felt like it was supposed to be played on a controller, which, you know, I think it was. I know that there's also Monster Hunter games on Switch.
君が生まれた時、私はそばにいてやれなかった。君が母親と一緒に苦しんでいた時も、私は駆けつけてやることができなかった。だが今、君のパパはここにいる。長い年月を、パパはずっと君のそばで過ごした。一度も君から離れることなく、まだ私のことを怒っているのか、カリベルト。もう正気を取り戻したんだろう。ただ、私と話したくないだけなんだよな。パパが悪かった。カリベルト、許してくれ。一言でいいから、何か言ってほしい。頼むから。どうしてだ。神よ。一体これ以上何をしろというのだ。私のすべてを奪った貴様らに、私は頭を下げたというのに、この安い命でいいのならくれてやる。なのに、貴様らは死ぬ権利すら与えてくれない。
The dude that did this in English was working. It was very impressive. Oh, really? Shit.
信じるべきではなかった。幻想など
You know me, I don't play in English, so... You have 400 chests to go, Roxy. Have you been using the compasses, though?
他に原因だと。どういうことだ？
Just coming back to say I'm quite excited for the Japanese stream tomorrow. I'll finally be able to watch it again. Hell yeah! Hopefully I can do it. Woo. Just gonna say you're a Monster Hunter streamer now. I've been playing a lot. It's got a crazy learning curve. Rise is way quicker to understand than others before it, but the replay value is so good. Oh, really? So good to do solo hunts, and also... Is that the Switch one? Is Rise the one on Switch, or... Because I have one on Steam. I think it's Monster Hunter World. But, like... I think there's expansions for it? I don't have the expansions, I just have the base. I haven't played it yet. I'll get around to it eventually, I hope.
そうか。そういった理由も。諦める。いや。
That's nice though. More chests, more rewards.
ああ、君の言う通りだ。今はまだ落ち込んでいる場合ではない。カリベルトとここに50年、いや100年だって暮らしてもいい。何しろ時間は持て余すほどあるのだからな。では出発しよう。薬をもう一つ作るんだ。今すぐに。薬の鍵となるのはあの一種のキノコだ。少し面倒だが手に入れる方法がないわけでもない。そこの畑に植えたんだ。
Oh, it was Switch exclusive. Switch has the most up-to-date content, I see.
細かいことは気にしないでくれ。その好奇心を抑え手伝ってくれるのなら私の言う通りにすればいい。
Hi, Despair. How are you?
礼拝した心臓の隣に滝がある。そこで午後2時の水を汲んできてくれないか。私はもう少しカリベルトの経過を観察したい。君が戻ってきたらキノコの成長を促す肥料を探しに行ってこよう。ああ、時間になったら行くといい。
Oh, okay. Well, cool. I guess.
苦労をかけてすまない。私はここで待っている。
Oh, I had to fetch water? Hey, these guys really making me work. You're existing? I mean, yeah. Sometimes that's all you need to do. I too am very simply existing today. Also what I say every morning. My eyes are open. That's the end. My eyes are open. I think they're gonna announce the next one this year. Oh shit! One of the most financially successful releases every few months. The full-on title updates. Adds a bunch more monsters and content to work through. Oh, that's crazy! I know it's quite a popular franchise as well.
戻ったか。カリベルトの状態はかなり安定しているよ。言い換えれば。 依然として何の効果も見られないということだがな。よし、水をくれ。
Currently chatting to work about whether I can transfer to one of our branches in another country. Oh shit! Are there any places that you have in mind, Despair? Like any countries that you would want to work in?
ここで しばらく見張っていてくれるか。特にスメールのレンジャーを家に近づけさせないでくれ。ああ、すぐ戻ってくる。肥料は比較的簡単に手に入るはずだからな。
It's weird that they've opted for this almost bullying of players to stay in the to stay like on the quest in the cutscene. France, Germany, India, and America. Definitely swaying more towards America. Oh shit, but you'd be so far away. From like friends or family.
そうだ、肥料は無事に手に入った。キノコの成長を促すには少し時間がかかる。急ぐとしよう。
Eva's over. Jeff just too busy running guns. Yeah. Doing VOD streams to hunt with me anymore. Ah. Yeah. I get that. It happens. Like especially games that require like a lot of work. Like Warframe, for example. Trying to get people to play that game and like stick with it is very difficult because there's just so much to it. So yeah. As much as I try to get into Genshin, I just can't do it. Is it like the style of the gameplay or? Hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Chicken wing, hey, hey, chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Welcome, homies. Hey, 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 chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Okay, so the raid message showed some weird ass shit. Y'all probably seen it. Twitch has been twitching the last couple of days. How was your stream? What were you up to? Minecraft? Hell yeah. Welcome, welcome, raiders. Thank you all so much for coming through on the raid. What were you up to today? Were you building stuff? Are you gonna post it on Twitter? You know that you can't get away with playing Minecraft and not telling me what you built. And not posting it on Twitter. Please and thank you. Because I'm terrible. My houses in Minecraft are always little blocks. And then it's just filled with chests to hold all the shit. I can't build very nicely in that game. I've tried, but fuck, it's a lot of work. I think the thing I put the most effort into, not surprising at all, it was a stable for all of the many horses that I caught in that game. And that was it. I even had like an automatic door for it. Didn't do that for my own house, but I did it for the horses, yo. I test streamed the Vault Hunters mod pack. What does that do? You can't build anything but shoeboxes? You see, like, I feel like that's a pretty standard, like, average Minecraft player. We live in boxes. You saw my Ark house, that's true. I don't let Jargon do any of the building. In Ark, in Valheim. Oh, you didn't build anything? But you'll be building soon? Oh. Because you were on some server and you were doing like builds and there was this one like pretty house that you built and I was like, what the heck, man? I want to do shit like that, but it's hard. I don't know how people do it. It's crazy. But yes, Jargon has no building permission. He doesn't have a permit to build when we play games together. You feel too behind? Oh! So loud. Sorry, guys.
Thanks to @Jargon1674 for my sub gift.
Thanks, Jargon. This is obviously your fault. Anyway. Can't really catch on to the loop of the game, so I end up getting overwhelmed. That is fair. There is a lot in the game. And, like, I know a lot of people have had to, like, start the game almost from scratch. Like, well, yeah, from they have to start over, but, like, they're starting quite late. I mean, Roxy, I think, started playing at the end of last year. But I think she's still enjoying it. She's having a great time. And not shy to ask questions as well, which I think is a very important thing. Like, I mean, of course you're welcome to ask me, but like, literally anyone in my community, most of the people who chill here do play Genshin, they would be happy to help as well. Have you seen the AI Minecraft videos with Trump, Biden, and Obama? I haven't seen the Minecraft ones, but I have seen, what was it, like Call of Duty or something? I can't turn up the sound. I had to turn it up in OBS, unfortunately. But, yeah. Ooh, that was close. I almost left. We would have had to do that all over again. Don't ask me about Genshin. Okay, yeah, don't ask fucking Chaos about Genshin. Fucking Chaos doesn't know anything. All he knows is swear. That's all fucking Chaos does. All he knows is swear. All he knows is potty mouth. Joking. It's always a party here. Man, I nearly pooped myself there, Oxy. You're very hard on yourself? No! Don't be hard on yourself. I'll build my little matchbox house next to yours. How's that? And then you can look at your house and be like, shit, I did good. Jargon will build a house on the other side. You can be sandwiched between our two little matchbox houses. Our building can make anyone else's buildings look amazing. Like a grand cathedral. He knows Genshin, not Genshin. If you have to ask me about any game, it's Outriders or Rocket League. You play Rocket League? I think we might have had this conversation before, actually. Sometimes I feel like I ask too many questions. There's no such thing. If you don't know something or you don't understand, just ask. Just ask. I'm happy to help. I might suck at responding. Like, if you message me and it's not on Discord, I suck at replying. You were close to going pro? What? Man, that game looks so hard. I watch people play it sometimes on Twitch. I don't fucking understand any of the shit that they're doing. That looks hard. We're the ugly friends that make the one friend look super hot. Exactly. Exactly. So our little matchbox houses will make any Minecraft build look stunning. You could build like a tower with just a 2x2, and our little matchboxes will still wait. No, hold on. Maybe don't. That's gonna look like something else. If you build a tower between the two houses, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Don't be building no peepees in Minecraft, please. It was not my intention. It was not my plan. Sus? No, not me. Not me. I'm not sus. I was just trying to make an example of how terrible a building is. Jargon especially doesn't have a building permit. No building for Jargon. You saw it going in a different way? What? Not sure I want to know what way you were going. I swear this guy's lost the plot. Okay, relax, man. He's like shouting at me. All I want to do is put the codes in. This guy's like, let's go! We gotta go! Probably for the best. Hi, Lily. Hello, hello. That's not even him. That's a different Hilly
どう
Chol.
やらカリベルトではないようだな。ああ、カリベルトの腕にあるスカーフは、かつて私があの子の母親に送ったものな
No
の。
man chickens.
今では目印として私がそれを使っている。私の目もいよいよなのかもしれないな。自分の息子さえも見分けがつかなくなりつつあるとは。この体はもう、確かに私たちにまるで興味がなく、かたくなにあっちの方へ。ああ、ヒルチャールに関する情報なら多ければ多いほど。
We should go speak to that little girl in Mondstadt who can speak to the Hilly Chols. What's her name? Is it Ella? Is it Ella that speaks to the Hilly Chols? I think it is Ella. Oh, she can't read his mind.
先ほどのヒルチャールはここに入ったようだな。よし。
Elon Musk. Didn't someone make a Twitter account for Elon Musk? I'm pretty sure there is one though. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's one.
なんと不気味なところだ。こんな場所、前からあっただろうか。ん？ヒルチャールたちが、ひれ伏して何かを崇めているようだな。
Oh, it's official?
歩いて
Oh, really?
ひざまずき。
No ways!
なんとも経験そうだ。
That's
こんな
funny.
光景、見たことない。一体、この場所に何が隠されているというんだ。それを知るには、ここを探ってみるしかなさそうだな。
It's familiar. Oh, like the Abyss? Not the Abyss, the Enkanomiya. It's got that Enkanomiya music. Whoops. Guys, I don't actually want to fight you. I know this is maybe a very concept. Whoa, foreign concept to you. But I don't want to fight you. What the heck? There we go. Was that me? Did I just speak? Oh my god. The voice actor for Lumine actually does something? No ways. I feel bad for the voice actors for the main twins because, like, they never speak. Listen, I didn't intend on bringing this team into a domain. Imagine being a main character, no lines. Yeah, like people go on about it all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I don't remember his name now, but that guy who does Aether, they're like, oh yeah, that's Aether's VA, and I'm like, okay, but have you heard him speak more than 3 times in the 2+ years we've been playing this game? Like, when the Hilicho went, yeah, man, I felt that. Luke, you like when they go, yeah! Yeah, I think it's because they're not very good at speaking to your heart and soul. You're still in the chasm? Oh, damn. Oh, Zach Aguilar. Aguilar. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. Who also voices like 1,000 other people, including Tanjiro. Yeah. Yoda feels the need to remind me every time that he's Tanjiro's voice actor. And I'm just like... Okay, but I don't watch anything in English, so... I would never know. A guitar? No. Not a guitar. A person. The hilichurls. things that words can't explain. Use the language of the hilichurls. They speak to your soul. This is hella creepy. It's a good bit of trivia. Yeah, but like... That would be like me knowing German voice actors for anime. I don't watch I don't watch anime in German. It would be like the most useless thing for me to know. I hate that we have to fight some of the hilichurls, because I don't want to fight them. Oh, I'm in a domain, I can't climb things, I forgot. Hmm. There's powder all over the place. I wonder if I have to go through here. Neighbor, that's weird. That's very weird. For those of you who don't know, the main character almost never speaks. She's just spoken twice. To say that I am stunned is an understatement, because what the fuck am I hearing? Nada. I'm assuming that I need to go back. Sus camera movements going straight up the skirt. Sus eyes looking up the skirt. I was looking... do I need to... Which one did I open? Did I open this one? You just got sus eyes, Despair. I was looking at... Aha! I was looking at the ceiling. Or the floor, technically? I was upside down, I guess? Looking at the floor that was on the roof? Yeah, this makes sense. This makes perfect sense. How is it your fault? It's your fault because you were looking. Don't you got no manners? No self-control? The shop resets every 1st of the month. Does it? Because I have no idea. Yoda, thank you for the hearts. Looking at my girl Yae? I'll smack you. It does? Is it every month? Not gonna lie. I don't pay attention to when it happens. I just know that it does happen. Every month? What? It's just people remind me. They're like, hey Nat, don't forget the shop reset. And I'm like, thank you. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I almost died there. That would have been a little bit funny. You'll stop watching stream. Are you only watching stream to look up the character skirts? That's kind of weird of you, Despair. Now that I've told you to stop looking up skirts, you're like, oh, okay, no reason to be here anymore. I'm going to be saving the rest of my fates when Dia's on the standard banner. I just want to see if I can't bump Genshin's sound a bit. It's so fucking soft. You're being personally attacked? No, everyone gets personalized attacks here. Everyone gets a special attack on their character. I can't buy anything. I haven't done wishes in a while. Ah, you still have time when Ayaka arrives? Yeah. You'll be fine. Dramatic much. I can't turn up the sound because of It seems fine now though. For some reason in that cutscene it was like non-existent. Oh shit! This guy's freezy. Oh Jesus! Yanfei got smashed. Go for night. Ow. Ah, no. This guy. Woof. My character isn't that of a man who looks up skirts. And yet you accused me of looking up skirts? You got 48 wishes plus 5 in the shop. Ah, very nice. Are you guaranteed, Roxy? Oh, Jesus. That's a stare bomb and a half. Whoa! Yeah. Uh-oh.
私はただの罪人だというのか。在郷から生まれたまだ無垢な花よ。この私には君の
This is so drama.
運命が見えている。
Hey, Spawn! You talking to yourself? How beautiful.
その開墾を一切抑える必要はない。あらゆる虚偽を容認する必要もない。
Ah, the head pats. Thank you, thank you.
超越せし存在となる。授かりし運命の一切を超えてみせよう。私は時の終点で涙をこぼし、君のすべてを取り替える。
What the fuck? You better tell me, sir.
見た瞬間、心にある感情が一斉に静まった。それから畏敬の念を。いや、あれは幸福感だったのか。
It is pretty tense, Spawn.
それだけが心の中に残されていた。ああ、今はかなり気分がいい。むしろここに入ってきた時よりも。
Yeah. You were probably watching on Yoda stream.
おかしなことだ。
Because I was watching him do this earlier as well. I wasn't actively watching though, because I didn't want spoilers.
まずは君の言う通りにしよう。カリベルト、よかった。ここは変わりないようだ。私はうすうす感じているのだよ。先ほどのあの出来事はある種の運命の。
No worries, Spawn. Thank you for the lurkies. Sorry, this story is like super hectic, bro.
強く思っていた時にあのようなことが起こったのだ。あれはまるで導きのように感じた。君の話によると、私はどうやらあれの前でひれ伏したのだったな。君が何を言おうと私は試してみたい。それに君も前に言っていただろう。すべての可能性を確かめるべきだと。
Okay.
カリベルト。カリベルト、なんということだ。これは嘘ではなく現実なのか。まさに見たか。効果があったぞ。カリベルトがまた喋れるようになった。
What the fuck?
ママはいいか、カリベルト。まずは私の目を見てくれ。私が誰だかわかるな。
うん。パパでしょ。
救われた。これが救われたという感覚か。カリベルト、今はどんな感じだ。意識ははっきりしているか。
うん。長い間 眠ってたような気がする。夢の中で小さな部屋に隠れてた。
This is so weird.
で
Holy
も
shit.
ずっとそこから出る勇気がなくて、出たいとも思わなかった。僕の体、
Oh man.
僕の体どうしたの？これが僕？ねえパパ、何が起こったの？
いいか、落ち着くんだ息子よ。これはただ君が眠りについた時に童話の世界に入り込んでしまっただけなんだ。私と一緒にな。この世界にはもうカーン・ルイヤも私たちの家もない。それから
Red sky?
世界の滅亡を描いたような最悪もなくなっている。君はその小さな怪獣の姿でパパと永遠に暮らすことができるんだ。
僕は死んだの？
そんなことはない。何を言っているんだ。カリベルト、ほら、君の腕にはママのスカーフが巻いてあるだろ。ママも君を祝福し、加護を与えている。
Nay, bro. I thought the chasm story was heavy.
そうなんだ。
Holy fuck.
そうだとも。目が覚めたばかりだからまだ混乱しているのかもしれない。ここでゆっくり休むんだ。すべてうまくいく。ああ、そうだ。このことをしっかり胸に刻んでおきなさい。何があろうとその仮面を外してはならないと。覚えたかい？仮面は外してはいけないからね。
うん。パパ、僕覚えたよ。
あの日以降、今日ほど喜んだことはない。このようなことが実現するとは。
Bro, I'm catching flies right now. My mouth hasn't closed this whole time. I'm still stunned. What the fuck?
まさか七天神像まで拝んでしまうと。
Spitting's rude, man.
まさに一生の恥。加害者。そう。奴らはいつまでも加害者なんだ。あいつらに救いを求めるなど、私の考えがどこまでも甘かった。それに比べ、私たちが洞窟で出会った名も知れぬ神こそ、孫をことなき偉大な神。七神なんかとはまるで格が違う。あの神秘的な力、なんと魅力であったか。これも私が敬虔な心で崇めたおかげだ。そうだろう？ああ、そうだ。神に祈って願いが叶ったのなら、ガンほどきというものをやるべきだろうか。
Oh, this guy's lost the fucking plot, man.
神へ祈る時の作法はあまり心得ていなくてな。ただ今回は必ずガンほどきを行う必要があるように感じるのだ。罪人だと。まったく何をほざいている。
Bitch, you don't know anything. What you talking about?
なぜそのような冒涜的なことを言う。あの神の力、君も見たはずだ。七神があれほどの奇跡をもたらすことができるか。あの方は七神よりも高位な神なのだろう。それを罪人というなど言語道断。まあよい。君がどう考えていようと、私の敬虔な心に影響を及ぼすことはない。今すぐにでもガンほどきに行かねば。君はついてこなくとも結構だ。
Yeah, so Mans was very unstable before, and then he had a religious experience, and now he's very much lost the plot. Oi, oi, oi. Whoops. Into the cave again? Sorry, buddy. Is the Archon quest still not done? No. Go away. Go away, Hooded. Get out of here. Attack! Exactly. You don't know Footsack? I'm sure I explained Footsack before. One day I'll build my Yanfei. Today is not that day, but one day I will. Go! Shut up! Get out of here, Hooded! Go away! Shit! Shoot! Go study or something. You're out? You better be. I'll ban you. Get out of here. Shit! See you in 5 minutes. You gonna do your commissions and then sleep? Alright. No looking though. Nighty nights!
ひれ伏していたヒルチュアルもいなくなっている。前に見たのは全て幻覚だったというのか。確かにあれが幻覚のはずない。あの偉大で神秘的な力はまだ私の頭の中で、この体の中で響いている。幻覚でも偶然でもなく、ましてや夢でもない。あれは確かに存在する神秘だった。行こう、旅人。あれが消失したのには必ず意味があるはずだ。いつの日か再びこの目にする機会があると私は信じている。
This guy's all kinds of crazy.
罪人か。
Straight up loco cocos, this man. To be fair, how many hundreds of years has he been alive?
カリベルトはどこに行った？嘘だ。カリベルト。まさか誰かがここに来たのか？いや、ドアは破壊されていないし。
You need to go sleepies, Luke? No worries, no worries. It's quite late. Thanks for always being a cozy place. Oh, thank you, Luke. I'm glad you find this to be a comfortable space where you can experience the world of Genshin. You don't have to play it yourself. But if you do ever want to play, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. Jargon. Oh shit! Hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Welcome, homies! Hey, chicken and macaroni, chilling with the homies. Welcome. What are you playing? The Last of Us? Oh shit! That's the one with the mushrooms, right? That game is rough! Did you have a good time though? Is it spooky? Are you just playing like scary games now, Puppety? What's happening? And thank you again so much for the raid. Thank you for the raiders who came through with Puppety. Did you guys have a good time? I don't think I could play The Last of Us. I've watched someone play. But like, that shit was intense. Like, it's like a really hectic story, but also kind of spooky. There's like, are they called clickers or something? There's that one mushroom zombie thing. They freak me out, basically. I just can't. I can't deal with it.
カリベルトの今の姿でレンジャーや冒険者に遭遇したら待て誰かが物を動かした形跡がある
Oh? Not by choice. It's going good so far. Just got to before the mushrooms. Okay, I'll be honest. I don't know too much about the storyline, but
まさか
what does this mean?
鏡が割れている
Huh? It was broken though. Oh my god, please don't tell me we're in a fucking time loop again. I'm actually just gonna go straight to bed if that's the case. It's Dane's leaf, yeah.
あの子は仮面を外したんだろう仮面の下に隠されていた自分の顔を見てしまったんだ
Why? They look creepy under?
なんということだ親の教えを守らないとは急いであの子を追うぞ
Please don't tell me we're in another time loop because I hate it here already. Mama B was holding your hand. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Are you enjoying the story? Because like I said, from what I know about it, it's a pretty hectic story.
私が巻いてあげたスカーフどうやらこの先のようだ急ごう
How are we gonna find him if he doesn't have the scarf on? Hmm.
カリベルトカリベルトどこにいる レンジャーだまずい
He's the hilly troll that says excuse me when he farts. Kids don't say excuse me when they fart. They just be blasting ass all over the place.
ここで一体何をしているの
And laughing about it, like me. I am a kid.
貴様らヒルチャールを見なかったか
He's very polite? Okay, that's fair then. I guess he was nobility. Maybe he was brought up to apologize for
先に
Tootin.
私の質問に答えてもらいましょうか面倒ごとに発展させたくなければね
こちらが聞いているのだ
Bro,
あなた
relax.
一体どうしたのよそこまでムキになることないじゃないヒルチャールなんてどこにでもいるでしょもちろん見たわよ
ああ、ついさっきあっちで何体か倒したぞ。
Uh-oh.
ぼーっとしてたやつをな。
This guy's gonna blast now.
貴様ら貴様ら己レンジャー己七神の民めカリベルトの死をその命で償
あなた外国人がそんな暴言を吐いて私たちレンジャーを挑発してるの
レンジャーめよくも貴様ら
全く意味がわからない。ヒルチャールを数体片付けただけでそうも怒る必要ないだろう。なんて理不尽なんだ。
貴様らあの子は知性を取り戻したばかりだというのに
Good so far. You haven't finished it yet.
レンジャー
But wait, you finished the second one first?
本当に少しも加減しなかったのか見かけたヒルチャールをすべて倒したと
そうだよ、わけのわからないやつだな。 まあ強いて言うなら、俺がチームを離れてその
To poop.
用を足してた時、最初は俺も身構えたんだが、そいつには特に敵意がなかった。ただぼーっとしててあっちの方に行ったから、ほっといてやったよ。
そうだな。よかった。本当によかった。
Yeah, let's go. I actually have no idea how long this quest is gonna
この
be.
まま何者しに行くの？まったく身勝手な人たちね。急ごう。
You want chicken and macaroni? You want chicken and macaroni, but you don't want to chill with the homies? What the heck, man? Don't have too much longer now? Oh, really? Because, yeah, I might just finish off stream once I'm done with the story. Just because, like... I know I had to take a pill earlier for my jaw. And I think it made me a little bit drowsy. But I've been feeling like this most of today. So I don't know... Yoda's always hungry. Is he? The homies left you? No, we're all here. The homies are here. We'll trade all the Mac to chill with the homies. Ah, quacha. That's sweet. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too partial to Mac, so... I would definitely give up the Mac to chill with the homies.
どういうことだ。あの子は知性を取り戻したというのに、私の話を理解できているはずだろう。さあ、カリベルト、一緒にお家に帰ろう。一緒に帰ってくれるの？
Uh-oh. Please don't make us fight him. Oh.
カリベルト。
パパ、こんなのあんまりだよ。
違う、すべて私のせいだ。こうなると、もっと早く知っていれば。
何もかもが残酷すぎるよ。パパ。
What?
間違いない。そういうことか。やっと理解したぞ。おや、目が覚めたか、旅人。ちょうどあなたとこの喜びを分かち合おうと思っていたところだ。いや、違う。旅人という名で呼ぶ必要はなかった。
Pardon?
私。なに、あなたのことはもともと知っていたのだ。
Mac is just tea made with pasta? No, that's very wrong, Jorgen.
その事実確認をしていったまで。
But, you know, what would an American know about Italian food? You put the pasta in the hot water, but you keep... For tea, you keep the water and you throw out the bits. For pasta, you keep the bits, but you throw out the water. So,
それは至って普通のことだ。あなたのように高貴なお方が私たち全員を知っているはずもない。それに
he's throwing out the water as a choice.
私は偽名を使った。エデとはかつての私の従者の名でな。
What the fuck?
そう。私の本当の名はコロタール。
Colota?
コロタール。
Dun dun dun!
あなたも見ただろう、あの力を。カリベルトが身にまとった力は、あなたの言う罪人の力にそっくりであった。
そして今、私は確信した。あの力こそアビスなのだな。
Shush.
よく目にできた。あなたには関係ない。
Bro.
罪人。
Fuck off.
罪人
I hate this guy so much.
罪人のみが罪人を救済できる。カリベルトの運命はこうなるはずではなかった。
Truly, this man's has
だ
got
が今は
issues.
実に良い。あの子は自分の運命を折り直す機会を手に入れたのだからな。その極限の悲しみから生まれて、あの子は運命の食器になるのだ。
What?
危険で不吉？まさかあなたの口からそんな言葉が聞けるとはな。アビスを否定するなど実に滑稽だ。我々はかつて信じていた。あなたがカーン・ルイヤに力と希望をもたらすことを。なぜならあなたはアビスそのものを代表している。想像を超え理解を超えた神秘の象徴なのだから。そしてカーン・ルイヤがアビスを掌握すれば全てを掌握できる。
The heck?
我々はかつてそのような未来に憧れ、あなたのことを見つめていた。しかしあなたは果たして我々に何をもたらしただろうか。カーン・ルイヤの王子様。
Oh.
今私のことなんて呼んだの？
旅人。おい、旅人。旅人。
Eh? What the fuck? Habibito. What the fuck? What is the story?
本当に心配したんだからな。あれ、旅人？
気を失っている間、何があった？
It was Daddy Dainsleeve's voice that brought me back to life.
アビスの力の影響により乱れがずっと生じていたようだ。史脈にはこの世の情報と記憶が流れている。
Was it not?
もしや貴様、何かを見たのか？
Lily appeared. She crawled out of the floorboards the second she heard Daddy. Granddaddy, the daddiest of daddies, the daddy of all daddies. Dainsleeve. Listen, Jargon said that earlier. He's like, no, I can admit that he's daddy. And I was just like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, he sounds like a grandpa. So he's granddaddy now.
コロター・ガールベリヒのことか。奴はアビス教団を創立した後、アビスへの信仰から様々なことを成した。だが、不死の呪いは最後まで奴の肉体と精神を蝕んだ。奴の信仰するアビスが救済を与えることもなかった。そして100年後、奴は完全に正気を失うと姿をくらました。それ以降、奴は二度と姿を見せていない。しかし、
We just had a fever dream with him in it, so I don't know, man.
介護とを残していった。例えば貴様たちが目にしたあの汚れた逆さ腎臓も 奴が当時アビスの力を利用して作った
Neighbor.
そう言っていいだろう。でなければ彼がアビス教団の王子になっているはずがない。
旅人、大丈夫か？その顔、一体何があったんだ？
I feel like they're definitely trying to make Paimon more likable. Like, I don't know, just the last few things that we've done with her, like... I don't know if I trust them.
貴様の視点から数百年前の彼の記憶を見るとは、実に奇妙なことだ。やはり運命の食器という概念はあの時代に生まれたものだったか。しかもコロタールの息子であるカリベルトの当時の状態がそれに関係していた可能性が高いようだ。ただこの話を貴様の血縁者から聞いたことは一度もない。つまりその頃から彼はすでにこの道を歩むことを決意していたというわけか。ああ、あいつもきっと長いこと一人で考えていたんだろう。
Maybe they don't have the main character speaking because it would be very expensive because they're the main characters, so they can charge higher amounts. So they exhausted the whole budget on just having them say a few things, and they're like, shit, we can't afford more. I actually don't know who voices them in English. Well, I only know Zach, to be fair. I don't know the rest of the voices or languages or whatever. That was very loud, Daddy. Are you okay? Is your butthole still attached to your body after that one? Some slipped through the crack. Some buttholes slipped through? You got multiple buttholes, Daddy? The Duke? I scared the Duke out of Paimon. What the heck? Unfortunately.
男の遺骨の埋葬された時期が明らかに女よりも遅い点だ。そして男の手にはスカーフが一つ握られていた。これは何を意味している？貴様はなぜこの下に遺骨があると知っていた？なんだと？ありえん。こんなこと。コロタール・アルベリヒが最終的に不死の呪いを解かない限り考えられないことだ。あらゆる情報が錯綜している。整理するには時間が必要だろう。それにもう一度俺の記憶から何か見つけられないか骨を折る必要があるな。ここで別れるとしよう。
またどっか行っちゃうのか？オイラたちと一緒にいてもいいんだぞ。
しばらくは別行動をした方がいい。なぜなら奴がもう貴様のことを見たかもしれん。ああ、奴の正体は大方予想できている。
It's not time for my banner yet. We're gonna get his banner at the end of the game. Do you think he's actually gonna be playable?
ところで、その奴が旅人のことを見たかもしれないって言ったけど、
もしあいつなら、そういったことはおそらく奴を制限する要素にならないはずだ。
そいつって一体何者なんだ？
さあ、話はここまでにし。
But isn't my character also technically like they're called like dissenters or something? Isn't she also technically a sinner? So was that our brother talking to us through the rock or? Why are we being so nice? I want to know. That was so cute. Oh, that's mad shit, yo. But that story was fucked up. Hello? Bro. Nay, that was so messed up. Same VA as Yosuke. You know, the guy who needed to pee after y'all got sucked into the TV. Tato understanding Persona references is not something I had on my 2023 bingo card. I mean, playing Persona was not on my bingo card. I need to play it again. Maybe once the Genshin streamer event's over, I'll have some time to... Whoops. I'll have some time to play again. The only thing that's messed up is Dia's kit. Yeah, no, they played her. They did her so dirty. It's very unfortunate what they did to her. Anyway. Guys, there are codes if you have not used them. Account. Redeem code. It's the pinned message. Bam! One. I can't remember what they give, but they give some things. One of them's for Primos. Oh, it didn't put the... There we go. Yay! Free shit! So we got some food, some XP books, a little bit of more, and some Primos. Who doesn't want Primos? You pulled for her? You believe... you believe in that? I hope she gets some kind of buff, or she gets, Oh! Ah! This is fun. Man, everything's so loud because I couldn't turn down my Genshin sounds for a while. But, or turn it up rather. I'll turn it up now though, because I can. Finally. That story wasn't long though. That felt very short. I don't know if it was just me. How's your throat? My throat's fine. Why? Did you listen to the new soundload? I didn't! I need to go and find it, because it was in our chat, right? In our DMs. Ah, Puppety, I'm actually ending stream like now, so I won't be able to do that. What is that? What was I doing? That sounded so funny. Thanks, Joggin. Thank you for the alert as well. I'm gonna add that to my favorites so I remember to put it in. That was good. Was it when I was playing Layers of Fear or something? Like what they did for old Zhongli before they fixed him? Yeah. So like, I don't know. Maybe if enough people complain, then yeah, they'll do something about it. Alright, so I have 265. I was hoping to get at least 320, but I don't think I'll get that many before before Shenhe or Baiju comes out. So I think I'll have enough either way. But, you know. Got the assist from Dan on that one. Clips weren't working. Oh, right. Okay, I remember that now. I think that was from Layers of Fear then. Alright, I did say I'm going to be heading off. I don't know what's wrong with me, guys. I don't know if it's the pill I took earlier that has just zonked me out when I was already feeling zonky today. And now I'm feeling double zonky. I don't know what's going on. My body's all kinds of... I feel like... Have you ever filled a water balloon and you try and hold it in your hands and it kind of just flops around? That's what my body's been feeling like the entire day. I feel so out of it. I don't know what's going on. My body's just like all kinds of... Shall I go drop you guys off? There's a lot of people streaming right now. I want to see who has raided me recently. Is there anyone I can raid back? Get well soon. Thank you, thank you. I don't know. My body is just like it's floppidopoly, you know? I don't know why. Dun, dun, dun. Kai raided me recently. Is he live? I don't see him. The problem is a lot of the people who raid me are all people who stream before me, so I don't have a chance to raid them back. And it just makes me mad, because I'm just like, well, when the fuck am I supposed to raid you back? You know? God damn it. Kai ended. Curses. Your head has not improved after eating? Shit. Shitty titties. Sorry to hear that, friend. That sucks. That's the big sucks. Hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow, because I have to do a Japanese stream, otherwise Hooded's gonna unfollow, unsubscribe, block, ban, delete me. So, you know. You have class in 7 hours? Hooded, go to sleep! What the fuck? Get out of here! Big gone! Big gone. Skedaddle your skadoodles and get out of here. Alright, we're sitting here in like silence, so let me just put some music on. You mongrel? You can't just call people a mongrel, man. Alright, I think I'm gonna drop you guys all. Yeah, we're raiding out. Sorry, Smurf. I know you just got here. I'm not feeling so good, so I'm gonna go take it easy. Maybe I can drop you guys off again at Kale. So Kale is 7 followers away from 50 that you need for affiliates. So if any of you guys haven't dropped them a follow yet. Thank you, Smurf. But yeah, let me just pop the raid message. Whoa, Jesus! Yoda. Late night spoopies. Yeah, let's go to Kale. And yeah, if any of you guys could drop them a follow, would appreciate that. Just to nudge them in the direction of a affiliate. I'm sure some of you know the difficulty of trying to reach affiliates. So yeah, if you could just help them out, would appreciate. Lurk when you can. Get them those 3 average viewers. You know the deal. Alright. Sorry that I'm cutting the stream short, guys. I don't like to do this, but I think when I'm like this, the stream's not very fun. My body's just all kinds of poop right now. I'm not my usual peppy self. I don't know what's wrong with me, but hopefully I'm better tomorrow. No, you take care of yourself. And thank you all. Thank you all for keeping me company while I was feeling a little bit wobbly today. No you. No you. No you. It's my stream, my rules. No you. Okay, guys. Be good. Take care. I see you tomorrow, yeah? Bye, 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 bye. Wow. So mature. Alright, bye for real this time.